Hey friends, I'm Liad, and welcome back to the channel. It's a new week, week 6, which means a new theme to explore. But before we dive into that, let's talk about today's painting. This piece is a 9x12 oil painting on ABS. And the theme for this week is extreme color lighting. You know, the type of lighting that totally changes the colors of a subject into something completely different. I'll be honest, this week feels a bit odd for me. I'm not entirely sure how everything will come together or what exactly I'll end up discussing, but that's not an unusual spot for an artist to find themselves in. Let's unpack it together, starting with today's painting. I picked this reference for a few reasons. The colors and stark contrast immediately grabbed my attention. Usually I lean towards soft, atmospheric vibes with lost edges and muted tones. Think foggy, dreamy scenes. Although, maybe not so much muted tones, but still, dreamy is definitely something I often strive for. But high contrast pieces are just as exciting, maybe even more exciting. They might not scream atmosphere, but they definitely create a strong mood. The pose was another reason I couldn't resist this image. It's so striking and adds to the overall feel of the piece. Plus, it's more figurative than portrait focused, which felt like a nice change of pace. Don't get me wrong, I love painting portraits, clearly, but sticking to only that can feel a bit repetitive. When I think of portraits, the first thing that comes to mind is a painting of someone's head and maybe shoulders. Although really, there are many portraits that are full figure portraits. It's not that uncommon. Still, this feels more about the figure as a whole. The small size of the painting plays into that too. Her face is just a couple inches wide, making it hard to pack in all the detail a portrait might demand. Some artists, like Paul Beckingham, excel at capturing amazing detail even at tiny scales. Seriously, his work is fantastic. I'll link his info in the description so you can check him out. Now let's talk about this week's theme and how it came to be. While brainstorming with a friend, she suggested the idea of tackling references with strong colored lighting. At first I wasn't sold. I didn't think I'd have much to say, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized there was something interesting to explore. For starters, it can sometimes be tricky to see things from other people's perspective. Personally, I don't think I'll struggle with these types of paintings because of the colors. Maybe for other reasons, but not the colors specifically. However, I know others might find it challenging. If I can help by demonstrating and sharing my thoughts on the process, I'm more than happy to do that. A lot of creative journeys start with a question or feeling, not a fully formed idea. Many artists create entire bodies of work before they even know what they're truly about. The process itself brings clarity, so just the inclination that there might be something there is enough reason for me to explore. So if you feel drawn to an idea, even if it's not fully clear, I encourage you to dive in. You might discover your voice before you even realize you found it. And if all else fails, there's always AI to write a ridiculous, pompous artist statement for you. Just kidding, mostly. For extreme lighting, I approach it like a monochrome painting. In this particular reference, there's basically 3 colors: black, red, and yellow. And of course, red and yellow blend together to make orange. And there isn't a strong yellow on her, so it's easy to separate the sections and treat them individually. Having said that, there was one hiccup I ran into, which was my red paint. I couldn't quite match the saturation of the red in the reference. For my primary red, I use quinacridone rose, or primary rose, which is pigment code PV19. It's a very versatile color. I find it even more useful than magenta, but it can't hit the saturation levels of my cadmium red, for instance. And I was very tempted to grab my cadmium red, but I decided against it. Why, you may ask? Because it wasn't part of my planned palette. If I decide beforehand to use a specific color, that's intentional. But grabbing something mid-painting because I feel stuck, that's more reactive than thoughtful. That said, had I taken more time up front, I would have realized my palette's limitations and possibly chosen to adjust prior to starting the painting. I was rushing a little to get ready for a stream. Still, I managed to make it work without the cad red. and I'm happy with the outcome. It's just a matter of adjusting to the limitations of your palette, knowing the boundaries of your palette, how to adjust to it, or when to expand it, even for just one painting, is a big part of the process. I'll dive deeper into color choices and palettes in my next video, which is most definitely, maybe, coming out tomorrow. Stay tuned. That's it for today's painting. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you always get notified when a new video is available. Want to chat more about art? Join my art community on Discord or follow my social media. Links are down below in the description. And if today's painting caught your eye, it's available on my website in the daily painting section for the special price of $250. So go check it out. Have an amazing week, and as always, happy painting.